In the final episode of this Gen 1 Legendary Weapon Guide, we'll be talking about the gift you need for your specific Legendary of choice. So in my case, it will be the gift of Frostfang. Each Legendary Weapon gift is different and they need different things to craft them, with the exception of one material, and that is the 100 Icy Rune Stones. In order to obtain the 100 Icy Rune Stones, you need to come to Frostforge Sound and go to a vendor which is near where the Claw of Jormag World Boss Meta event happens. Simply talk to the vendor called Rojan the Patient and he will sell you Icy Rune Stones at 1 gold each. So in order to craft your legendary weapon, you need 100 Icy Rune Stones. Now the next item we need is our Sigil. Every single gift of your legendary weapon requires a different sigil depending on the legendary weapon you're crafting. In our case we're crafting Frostfang of course, so we need the superior sigil of ice. Now the superior sigil can be either crafted or simply purchased off the Black Line trading post. The next item we need I'll call our material gift because it depends on which legendary weapon you need depending on which material you need. So in our case we need the gift of metal, but there is also the gift of wood and the gift of energy depending on which Gen 1 legendary you're making. If your legendary weapon of choice requires the gift of energy, you need 250 of the following: radiant dust, luminous dust, incandescent dust and crystalline dust. You also need to be a level 400 artificer and you need the gift of energy recipe. This recipe can be purchased from Mayani for 10 gold. If your legendary weapon of choice requires the gift of wood, you need 250 of the following: seasoned wood planks, hardwood planks, elderwood planks, ancient wood planks. You also need a 400 huntsman, and once again the gift of wood recipe is obtained from Mayani for 10 gold. If like in this video you need the gift of metal, you'll need 250 of the following: orichalcum ingots, mithril ingots, dark steel ingots and platinum ingots. You'll need a weaponsmith with a rating of 400 and also need the gift of metal recipe, which like the others can be obtained from Mayani or the Mystic Forge attendant for 10 gold. All you then need to do is go to your required crafting station and craft your selected gift. The final item you need for the gift of whichever weapon you're working on is rather unique in the sense that every recipe is different and every item needed is different. In our case, since we're working on the gift of Frostfang, we need the gift of ice. In order to craft the gift of ice, I first need to obtain the recipe for the gift of ice. This, like most of the other recipes, is obtained off either Mayani or any of the other Mystic Forge attendants for 10 gold. Now that we have our gift of ice recipe, we need the 4 items used to craft it, which are the gift of sanctuary, 250 orichalcum ingots, 100 glacial lodestones and 100 corrupted lodestones. The lodestones and the orichalcum ingots are easy to get hold of. However, the unique item is the gift of sanctuary. Every Gen 1 legendary in the game requires you to obtain an item from the dungeon merchant. The dungeon merchant is located in Lion's Arch near the Fort Mariner waypoint where the dungeon merchant icon is. In order to trade with the dungeon merchant, you need Tales of Dungeon Delving. These are earned by simply playing the 8 different dungeons throughout Guild Wars 2. In the achievement panel under General and then Dungeons, there's a repeatable achievement called Dungeon Frequenter. With this achievement, every time you complete 8 different dungeon paths, whether they're the story paths or the explorable paths, you'll gain a reward of 5 gold, but also a chest of dungeoneering which contains 150 tales of dungeon delving. This is a quicker way to obtain this currency. After interacting with the dungeon merchant, select what weapons do you have. There's a list of the 8 different dungeons, and each dungeon has a unique gift. Each of these gifts costs 500 tales of dungeon delving. So the Ascalon Catacombs dungeon gives you the gift of Ascalon. The Corticus Estate dungeon gives you the gift of the Nobleman. Twilight Arbor dungeon gives you the gift of Thorns. Sorrow's Embrace dungeon gives you the gift of the Forgeman. Citadel of Flame dungeon gives you the gift of Balefire. Honor of the Waves dungeon gives us the gift of Sanctuary, which we need. Crucible of Eternity dungeon gives you the gift of Knowledge. And the Arar dungeon gives you the gift of Zaitan. As you can see, I've already got our gift of Sanctuary. Now that we have acquired our dungeon gift, we need to craft it using our crafting recipe we got earlier. In our case, we need dual crafting at the rating of 400. So we have our 250 orichalcum ingots, our 100 glacial lodestones, our 1 gift of sanctuary, and our 100 corrupted lodestones. If we press the craft button, we will then acquire our gift of ice. We now have our gift of metal, gift of ice, 100 icy rune stones, and our superior sigil of ice. We need to throw the 4 of them into the Mystic Forge. And we now have our gift of Frostfang. And with that, we have finally reached the final stage. We have our precursor, the Tooth of Frostfang, our gift of Frostfang, our gift of Fortune, and our gift of Mastery. Once again, we take all 4, throw them in the Mystic Forge, press the Forge button, and kapow! There you go. We have Frostfang, which I will now add to Legendary Armory. Have travelled to the far Shiver Peaks to challenge Jormag. Near death, she took one last swing at her foe before falling unconscious. She woke up the next morning, her axe encased in an icy dragon's head. With that, we have crafted our legendary weapon from our legendary journey. That completes this Gen 1 Legendary Weapon Guide. If you have any questions, feel free to hit them up in the comment section below any of the videos in this playlist. And you can also find me over on Twitch most days to ask me any questions over there. I wish you luck in your legendary journey, and I hope to see you in the next video.